Hello everyone, Namaste. SQL is a very widely used language to query from relational database nowadays, and it is almost used in every company. So it is very important to learn its syntax and how it is basically executed in what order. So we have this normal syntax, which is typical SQL query which we write in our editors. We first write select, then we write the column names or star if we want to print all the columns, basically the complete table. Then we write from and join. So we write from where which tables we need to query the data from, and we just join different tables to create a single source or table. Then we have where, which is basically where you put the conditions. You have group by, you group make some groups based on different columns. And having is a filter which is used only on groups. And then order by, in which order you want to see the results. Let's take one example. You have ingredients table and you have recipes table. When you join both the tables, you get the final recipe ingredients table. Most of the time you have common columns in both of the tables to join, but if you don't join, then it gives you every possibility of the join. It's called cross join. So let's see. So here is a code as we discussed earlier. First is select statement, which we write it as syntax. Then we have distinct. Whatever the column we require, we write the name of the columns. Then we write froms. We have joins here. Then we have a where condition where we write what condition we are putting. Then we are grouping it by one column. So here it is recipe name, and we are putting one. It's sort of where condition for groups, and it's called having. So you put filters on groups by using having. Then you order by using uh, any column you require in ascending or descending format. And then you have limit basically tells you how much rows you need. There is something called as offset. So limit basically truncates from the end, and offset it truncates from the start. So if you have 3 rows, or let's suppose you have 5 rows, and you write limit 4, then it will show you top 4 things. And if you just offset, it will show you skipping those rows. Like if you have offset 2, it will skip first 2 rows and then it will show from third. Now we will see how actually it is executed in the backend. It starts from form, then it's go to join, where, group by, having, select, distinct, order by, and limit. We will understand how this is going on in the backend with an example, and at last we will also run a mnemonic or a trick just to remember this. So let's go. Suppose you have to make a lemonade. You go to a market, and inside a departmental store, you can see lemons over shelves, water, some of the basics like sugar, bread, eggs, etc. So to make lemonade, you require three main things, which is lemons, water, and sugar. So you pick them up. Think these things as tables. So lemons is a table, water is a table, basics is a table, and the departmental store is your database. Now let's assume you joined each of the shelves. You should get a very very large shelf, but for assumption, let's assume you keep everything in a bag. So that's called a join. So you join each and every shelf and you get a single source from where you can query. You come home and empty your bag and put everything on a table. So if you remember your logical backend SQL order, you will see that from and join comes first. So from your departmental store, you got everything and you joined them to create a single source. You kept it in a table, basically it's in front of you currently. Next comes where. Where is basically to filter out the data. You have one single source after from and join. Now you want to filter some of the things. So here we are suppose giving a condition that we don't need rotten lemons. So you will just remove the rotten lemons. This was your where condition, where you have removed some of the data or truncated some of the data to shorten your database or the data source which you had. So the where condition was only on lemons. Now next conditions, let's suppose you have to group by lemons. So here we are grouping it by lemon size, but you can group it accordingly. So there was a group by condition and it was on lemons. Now we create three different groups, as you can see in the your screen. So after the where condition, when you remove rotten lemons and you group them basis on the basis of their size, now you can say that how much the size of the lemon, accordingly you will assign the proportionate water and sugar to them. Like there are three different bowls or three different groups now, and based on the condition given in the question or like wherever it is, you will assign similar proportion of water and sugar in these bowls. So this was grouping. After group by, you have having thing. Having, as I said earlier, it works basically in groups. It works as a filter for groups. So suppose we need to filter out the middle size lemons, so we'll just write the condition there and it will filter out those lemons. We are remained with only two bowls now. Since now grouping is there, you have two groups now based on the bowl sizes. So the water and the sugar was on the table, so according to your aggregate function which we use in the group by sum count or whatever it is, in that proportion the water and the sugar will get divided among the groups. So here you can see on the right side we have water and sugar, on the left side we have nothing, so it was aggregated like that. So now you have two groups and three different columns like lemon, sugar, and water. So you can use your select statement now, which comes in next after having in the logical operations in backend, which I'm speaking about. So select will select accordingly as per your requirement. If you need everything, then you can select star. Also there is something called as distinct, which you write after select. So you write select distinct and the column names which you need. It basically allows you to get only distinct values of rows. It won't create duplicate rows. Now you have two groups. You can sort them on the basis of anything. You can use order by for that. If you are using ascending, then it will sort it ascending. Descending will sort it descendingly. Based on, suppose you want the amount of sugar. So whichever group have the amount of sugar in high concentration, that should come first. So you use order by sugar descending. So it will first on the top first row it will show the group or the lemonade which have more sugar, and then on the second row it will show with the less one because it is sorted on. Now the last thing that comes is limit. You had two lemonades suppose, and you use limit 1 at the last. What it will do, you had two rows, it will chop off the row from bottom. So it starts from bottom. Suppose you had 5 rows and you write limit 2. So it will chop off the other 3 rows and it will show only 2 rows. So here the limit 1 was there, that's why you are seeing a lemonade. And since it was descending on sugar level, so you are getting a lemonade which with more sugar. So that is the limit thing. And there is something called as offset. Offset skips the rows from top and limit skips the rows from bottom. So uh, like if you have offset of 5, it will not show the first 5 rows, and then it will start showing from the sixth row. And limit, what it does, it shows only whatever the limit is. Like if there are 100 rows in the output and limit 5, then it will show the 5 rows itself. That is limit and offset, which we write at the last, and logically also it is done at the last. So let's recap once. We had from and join, where you took the ingredients from departmental store and kept it in a bag and just kept it on a table. Then you had where you remove the rotten lemons, or you can remove the expired sugar from there. You made, using group by, you made some groups or you took some bowls based on the condition which was required. Then you used having, and with using having, you basically remove the groups which you don't require. You can put the condition. Now you had bowls. You can use the select statement to like see only those things. Suppose you take a bowl and you want to
print only sugar values. So you just put after the select the sugar, nothing else, and it will show you that. But since we are grouping by here, we need to put the bowls also, or the lemons also. Then comes distinct. As I mentioned, distinct is basically to get the unique rows. Then at last comes order by and limit. Order by was in case here it was on the sugar level, and then limit was accordingly.
Now let's learn some trick to remember the things. To learn the syntax which you write it in your code editor, the thing which you can see is you can learn a sentence which is so few Japanese workers go home on time. It's a norm there in Japan to work late night. So you can see the people are working late night and very few of them goes to home at the normal time. So you can learn so few Japanese workers go home on time. S is for select, few is for from, Japanese join, workers where, then group by, then having, and then order by. This is your normal SQL syntax which you write it in code editor. Now let's see how to remember the logical order. So suppose Mr. Franklin along with his wife have a plan to go to Hawaii to surf. So you can learn this sentence. Franklin James with wife is going to Hawaii to surf in the ocean. So Franklin means from, James means join, wife is where, going is group by, Hawaii is having, surf is select, and with select you use distinct every time. So select and distinct, and in the ocean, ocean is your order by, and at last you always use limit or offset, always. So this is a very easy thing to remember, and you got the understanding of how the things are working, and you also got a mnemonic to learn the execution order. So this was it from my side. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in the comments. Thank you very much.